receives funding from ICAAP. Suzana Murni's soft voice and shy personality belie the inner strength and perseverance she brings to her fight for the rights of people suffering from HIV/AIDS in her native Indonesia. Please welcome Suzana Murni.
My dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy to be here with all of you today and for the next 5 days in this special gathering, the 6th ICAAP. I am very proud to share this moment with passionate and inspiring AIDS activists and volunteers, leading scientists, doctors and nurses, committed government officials, and people representing the business sector, and people living with HIV, the warriors. I am grateful for this opportunity, for my own health that allows me to stand here before you now. Until 2 months ago, I was pessimistic and doubtful I could make it to the ICAAP, deliver this speech, or do anything at all. I was never completely healthy in the last 1 year. In a few times I was really ill and I was losing weight, until a few of my friends put their money and energy together to get me on the drugs. Actually, this word drugs has always been on my mind since I know that there is one. Maybe 1 year after my diagnosis in '95. Just like other people with the disease, I want to be treated. It's just normal. But what I learned about the drugs kept me from starting it. First of all, it is way too expensive. Monthly, it will cost me more than what I earn. Secondly, I understand that there are side effects, and to use the drugs, need a proper monitoring. Viral load testing is available in one place only in Jakarta. Is that expensive? It is not always available due to lack of client who can afford it. Doctors who are willing to spend their time to catch up with latest development are also rare, beside a few committed ones. So I guess those are reasons enough for me not taking it. I was getting a little bit more excited about drugs when I heard that combinations are more simple and people are going to work, back to work because of it. But I still kept telling myself, no, I don't want to be a guinea pig, or no, I don't want to start a drug. I won't have anything to sell after 6 months. I guess it was my excuses to make myself feel better, because in my heart there is also that hope that never dies. I just want to stay healthy as long as I can. I felt it much strongly after I adopted my son 1.5 years ago. I took him not just for the fun playing with a baby, but I have an obligation. I want to raise him and take care of him myself as long as I can. I want to live long enough to take him to school, to see him grow and take him to interesting places. About a year ago, my health started to deteriorate. I had some sickness, a few of them last few weeks. I was seldom in good condition. As an activist, I was very busy, and not being able to work properly put me in deep frustration. And my son, when he was sleeping, sometimes I look at him and say, I'm very sorry for having brought you in this situation. I was really worried I would have to leave him in other people's care. I knew what I was going through. I've known the sign very well. I've seen it so many times before. Now that I was experiencing it myself, I was scared. I thought I was strong, but I am not. Until my friends who are concerned about me came up and said, they've organized money together. Another friend overseas said she'll organize a proper checkup, as well as the drugs. If I agreed to it, all I had to do was just get on the plane. The drugs gave a bad side effect. Sometimes I feel worse than before. In the end, I had to stop it and maybe later change the drug because of serious consequences. But still I know I'm very blessed because too many other HIV positive people cannot enjoy the choices that I have. When I play with my son every morning before I go to work, I'm always filled with new optimism. I know there are people out there who never stop working to make things better. But you must understand that the way I got my drugs isn't the way it's supposed to be. Not all the 30 million and more people with HIV in this world have friends who can afford to collect money and guarantee their drug supply, even if they love you very much. There's got to be a better way, a policy, a system for it to reach more positive people in more countries. So advocacy must continue to make drugs more accessible and affordable. I believe important drugs like HIV drugs should be available as a choice for patients and not a luxury. Research for better drugs that is less toxic and more suitable for different people must also continue and always be supported. Side effects have reduced the quality of life and productivity of many positive people, even though they far become low or even undetectable. Monitoring skills and facility as well as comprehensive care must be improved to accompany these pills and tablets, so people can really benefit from the drugs and not the other way around. If people are healthy, workforce are strong, and children are taken care of. If people are healthy, there is a possibility we gain more than what we lose. Therefore, we must put people's life before profit. Now, my friends, we are at the 6th Great Gathering on AIDS in Asia Pacific. Some countries in our region are already carrying a heavy burden caused by AIDS. Some manage to cope or even make breakthrough. Some countries are struggling hard. Some countries are still in the earlier stage of the epidemic, and some are still not letting go of the silence, fear, and shame. At this ICAAP, we want to break down the barriers. Now I want to talk about the barriers, the real barriers that are out there in the field, in our countries, faced by positive activists. People with HIV are part of the solution. We have a role in both support and prevention aspect in dealing with AIDS. Because our life has been touched by the virus, we can provide inputs on how HIV can affect one life. We can build the spirit of other positive people, so they will look at life in a more positive way. We give AIDS a human face, so people realize that it is real. We encourage people to protect themselves. We can also sit together as partners with other stakeholders to look for solutions to our problems. We can enrich your insight from the perspective of people living with the virus. So many people with HIV around the world has accepted these roles, and they do make a difference. For example, the HIV positive speakers. How many of you have ever heard them speak? Weren't you touched by them? APN Plus, the Asia Pacific Network of People Living with HIV, have even produced a manual for public speaking to help their fellow positive people improve their speaking skills. Countries in the United Nations recognize the importance of involvement of people with HIV, and it was included in the Paris Declaration 1994. It became a principle known as GPA, Greater Involvement of People with AIDS. Many HIV positive people have come out as activists at various levels through networks like the Global Network of People with HIV, GNP+, APN+, International Community of Women with HIV ICW, National PWA networks, with groups like ICAAP and Treatment Action Campaign, or individually. But it is not an easy road to get to the table and be accepted as equal partner in the fight against AIDS. Many times, the other stakeholders don't even understand why we are at the table. We are the victim of our own behavior, and our role in the meeting or a forum is just to tell a good, sad story. To really participate in a discussion sometimes is impossible. You know, when you're not familiar with the language of the meeting, and there is not enough effort made to make it more understandable for everybody. Positive people are seldom seen as one of the experts, although we can tell you about the reality of HIV probably better than most people. Sometimes it is even forgotten that some positive people are here not because they wanted to be tested, but because they are forced to. For example, HIV surveillances among sex workers or prisoners that doesn't respect the unlinked anonymous principle. But to make a really meaningful contribution, we positive people also need support. We need to be empowered. We need training and opportunity to practice. We need everybody's help to create an enabling environment. We need everybody to listen, not deciding what is needed for us, but let us decide what we need. We also need freedom to associate and space to grow. How many government and NGO ever consider us as more than a target group? How many healthcare workers ever look at us as more than a patient? How many scientists and academics ever take us as more than object? Have you ever looked at us positive people and asked, what can we learn from them? Where have we failed in our prevention campaign? How come it didn't reach everybody? Why some people have better quality of life and are more productive? And why some people deteriorate more quickly? What can we learn from positive people so we can improve the quality of our services? There are so many questions, but we never ask them. I've stopped answering to students wanting to make papers or theses since years ago, because AIDS is seen as such an attractive subject, but the result never come back to benefit us positive people. They get the degree. And I get my time wasted. When people ask me to be an object of their study, I ask them back, why don't you go and have a test yourself? They immediately feel uncomfortable and their eyes say, no way, why? Not me, why me? Could it be me? Not me, what is she talking about? We may be target group at the beginning, but one day this target group should graduate to be equal partner. It is probably hard to let go, but this growth must be allowed to happen. Every stakeholders and organization with support and care programs must understand this and support and facilitate the process. This should also be the same with other so-called target groups such as sex workers, youth, street youth, homosexuals, and drug users. Donors agency or funders must also recognize the JIPA principle. First of all, for every amount allocated for prevention, there must be also money proportionally put towards support and care. The two aspects cannot be separated anymore. Second, in designing both prevention and support care projects, inputs from positive people must be heard and respected as one of the experts. In implementing the project, funders often have their own agenda, pre-designed frame, and inflexible shell that must be followed by every group or organization applying for funding. Organizations then end up doing what funder wants, get the fund, get busy, and lose touch with reality. Funders should have the flexibility and willingness to listen, respect the groups and organizations they're working with as true partners and not just saying it. Funders must also support positive people movement, as well as the movement of other groups if really want to intensify the fights against AIDS. Now the community also have responsibility. We oftentimes are so dependent on funders as if we can't do much without them. There hasn't been enough community mobilization so far. Weaken small businesses, neighborhoods, villages, townships, mosques, churches, temples, community groups, they have a vital role. The community is where we live every day. They need to be included, encouraged, educated, so they can look beyond the differences and create acceptance for people with HIV and other marginalized groups. People with HIV are often discriminated against in their own community, where actually the community have a lot to offer to improve the quality of life. Community can help eliminating stigma and discrimination. The community can mobilize themselves to show their support, like with the AIDS Candlelight Memorial, therefore helping to advocate and raise the concern of people with HIV. The community can run care programs without waiting for help from outside, therefore reducing the burden of the family living with AIDS. The community can mobilize their resources so more projects can take off and run without having to be dependent on grants from donors. Now the government, we always say that we need your political commitment. When we say we need it, we mean it, because people are dying, and dying people cannot wait a long time. I was in New York for the UN General Assembly Special Session on AIDS last June. From the big screen in the UN building basement, I listened to the heads of the states stating their political commitment. It was moving to listen to the heads of the African states. The voices of some of them trembled as they spoke of the desperation and the loss caused by AIDS. They also came out very strong, because there are so much to do, so many challenges, but also so much strength to be able to survive this far, and so much hope. We need the political commitment from our government, from national to district level, because some barriers we cannot break alone. You have the place in policy making. Please notice our concern when you are making them. You are public figures and heard by many people. Please send the correct messages about AIDS and people living with AIDS. You are in partnership with donors and international agencies. Please do not forget our issues and stay in touch with reality that people are facing in their daily life. You can make a big difference in making treatment accessible and affordable. Please try harder. You have the responsibility to ensure that human rights are respected. We want to see it. I believe that everybody who are here at the ICAAP is committed and faithful to the cause. As we are attending session and having discussion in the next 5 days, lives out there keeps going and people keep trying to survive. For their sake, for the sake of the next generation, and in the memory of our brothers and sisters who have passed away before us, let's really break down the barriers. Let us renew our commitment, recharge our energy, and re-inspire ourselves, because we need to go back home stronger. Let us network and strengthen our solidarity. We have achieved so much so far. We can achieve much more, but only if we put our strength together. As my friends at the APN Plus always say, together we are hope. Before I end this speech, I would like to thank one special person who's done so much for me in the last days, put me together in time for this opening ceremony, Dr. Ann Mitch. And to all of you, I would like to wish you a great conference. Thank you for your attention and keep yourself warm so we can enjoy this beautiful city while we are here. Thank you very much.